Okay, I think we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rob Fitzpatrick. I'm with White Star Software, and we're talking about OpenEdge Diagnostic Data Collection. So, why does this feature exist at all? Well, here's how I would describe the life of a DBA in a nutshell. It's hopefully long periods of calm, punctuated by hopefully short periods of excitement. In other words, bad stuff. And here's an example of some of that bad stuff that you might see in your database logs. I've seen most of these, although not all of them. Here's some more bad stuff that you could see approaching and then reaching the BI threshold. While we're on the subject, what causes BI error?
Yeah, there's long transactions and short transactions.
Long transactions coupled with
Short
BI writes.
Yes.
Right? Because if you have a long transaction, but it's the only user that's active, then your BI is not going to grow. But if you couple a long-running transaction with lots of BI activity, that's where you get the BI growth. Here's another example of bad stuff.
Yes.
I think we're pretty much all familiar with this one. And an important thing to remember about this is that the user who sees the lock table overflow error isn't necessarily the perpetrator, the one who caused the problem. And we'll see an example of that later on. So, have we all seen these errors before? Some of them or all of them?
Yes.
Is there anybody who hasn't?
Sentient robot.
Well, yeah.
Not
That was just to see if you were paying attention. So, here's a scenario. One of these errors happens in your database, and then at some later point, somebody notices, maybe it's the next day or the next week, and since then, probably things have changed in your system. Maybe the users have disconnected, or the database has been shut down, or the entire server has been rebooted. And then they ask, why did these errors happen? And you say, I don't know. Because it may be too late to know for sure why this happened. If a user caused a lock table overflow, but they've since disconnected, we don't know what code they were running. We don't know who caused the long-running transaction that grew the BI file. We might know who they are, but not what they were doing, and so we don't know what code to fix or to tell the developers to fix. That valuable diagnostic state that existed in the database at the time is now gone, or it's changed in a way that we can't figure out the root cause. And it's not even just a matter of being vigilant and watching your logs and seeing the moment an event happens, because some of these events are transient. They can just happen so fast. You know, a lock table overflow can happen in a fraction of a second if you have a relatively small lock table. So even if you're watching the log as it happens, the data you would want to gather from the VSTs is gone before you could, write the query or run a canned program that will do that query for you. So wouldn't it be nice if the database could be vigilant on your behalf when one of these events happens and collect the data that you would want for diagnostics so that you could look at it later and not have to, be watching the database right when the event happens? Well, the good news is it can. And that's because of this feature, Diagnostic Data Collection. If you're not familiar with it, it's existed for 6.5 years now. It was introduced in 11.7.1. So hopefully you're all on that release or later. Show of hands, everyone who's on 11.7 or later. Okay, so great, everybody.